Hello?
Oh my god, did you hear?
Oh, I'm itching to tell you something.
Itching to Tell You investigates.
Welcome back to another instalment of the Itching to Tell You Investigate series. Today I'm going to be talking to Christine Pringle, the founder of Skin Camouflage Care, about the art of skin camouflage. Christine, thank you so much for speaking with me today. Could you tell me a little bit about skin camouflage? What is it?
Thanks for having me, Zoe. It's lovely to be here. So skin camouflage is the application of specialised creams and powders over scars, birthmarks and tattoos. And essentially you're just helping someone to cover up something that might be emotionally debilitating.
And how is it that you came across skin camouflage?
So I trained as a makeup artist about 8 years ago, and I literally just fell across this on the web one day. I was interested, and the Irish Red Cross were giving courses, and you then volunteered with the Irish Red Cross. So I joined them and I volunteered for a few years, and I had a clinic in Newbridge. Okay. So we saw people who were referred to us from hospitals, from consultant dermatologists, and it was just there that it just clicked with me, and I said, this needs to be done on a private level. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a need for it, and also more than anything it was something I just loved doing.
Yeah, you said to me before when we spoke about your training that you fell in love with skin camouflage. What about it was it that you just really loved?
As corny as it sounds, I don't know, if you do a job you love, you never work a day in your life, but the main thing for me is that feeling of helping someone. So many of my clients will kind of, even through the phone call, the first initial phone call, booking their appointment, you can hear the sort of concern in their voice about what it is they're talking about, and then I meet them, and when they're leaving the practice there is this weight lifted off them. And I'm not bigging up myself, it's the skin camouflage that does that, and they're the tools that you're giving someone to help themselves on a daily basis, and it's so simple. And that's what I love about it, is that it's a simple process, it's cost effective, but it can really make a difference to someone in how they feel.
And from your experience, why is it that people come to you?
So most of the people who come to me do have that emotional connection with whatever it is that they're requesting to be covered up. So be it a scar, birthmark or tattoo, there is something that's kind of limiting them on a daily basis emotionally, and it does affect their self-confidence and their self-esteem in even so much as leaving the house sometimes. Now that's not for everyone, but for a lot of the cases it bothers them that much.
And you said to me before that a young girl came into you and she said to you she wanted to look like everyone else, and that really resonated with me.
Yeah, I think that's a common theme with a lot of my clients, is that, and I think we can all kind of identify with that you just want to feel sort of, it's not about vanity and it's not about being glamorous, it's about literally fitting in. So that really, that appeals to me, that I can help someone to just feel good, just feel normal, and you're empowering someone to do that for themselves and not have to rely on someone else on a daily basis. And I think they're surprised as well at how simple it is and how well it can look. A lot of my clients would have been through surgeries for maybe, I don't know, it could be an accident, it could be even self-harm. There's many different skin conditions that skin camouflage can help with, but the bottom line is that it affects somebody and their confidence. So when they're looking at it, it might remind them of an event that happened that caused it. So it could be abuse even. So that's what does it for me, is that they're sort of leaving and they just feel sort of, I don't know, empowered is the word.
That's your whole mantra, isn't it? Empowering someone.
That's the tagline for the business, is empowering you, and that's what I aim to do every single time I see someone. Now there can be, there's the clients too who might just want to cover a tattoo, and they might want to just do that for a job or an event, and they're not very emotionally affected by it because they love their tattoo. And for me that's, it's still the same job, it's still the same process, but the difference is they don't, they're not as emotionally affected by the skin camouflage. However, they're happy that it does the same job, and it allows them to go on stage or go to an interview or whatever it is, an event. They might want to just have that freedom to cover it up temporarily and then take it off.
I'm very much for the kind of, embracing the marks, because, for a long time I did try my best to conceal the markings, but I come to a stage now where I'm going, do you know what, if you can't beat them, join them, may as well embrace them, because if you don't embrace them, you'll feel miserable about having them. But there are days where I understand you don't feel strong enough to brave the markings, and you do, as you say, just want to look like everyone else. So the fact that it's not temporary is nice, that you can do both.
It's tools in your toolkit on the days you're feeling vulnerable, and that's how I see it. And that's what I love. So I actually love to see people who have, say, a birthmark, and they go out proud into the daylight, and I think that is amazing. I think that's so great that you have that, but not everyone has that strength, or not everyone has that strength consistently. You might have days where you just feel you need that little bit of help. And I suppose it's like wearing makeup as well, there's days where I just kind of, I just feel, okay, I really need
that little confidence
boost. Need a little confidence boost, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's all about just feeling good.
I loved your kind of whole thinking on it, because some places I feel, if they're cosmetic orientated, they're nearly telling you, you have to look this way, you have to reach the standards, where you're not like that at all. You were going, I think the people who come into me are beautiful, they're unique markings, they're perfect with it, but I'm just helping them to say, if you're not happy to look like that, you can look this way too.
That's exactly the point, is that it doesn't matter what I think, or it doesn't matter what someone else thinks, it's how the person feels. And so, and actually I shouldn't even comment on what I think or how I think they look, because it really doesn't matter. If someone's coming to me, it's because it's for a reason, and I just want to tick that box and help them in any way I can, and that's where the Skin Camouflage does. You're just handing them a set of tools, and they go off, and generally don't need to see me again. So that's the simplicity of it.
And you mentioned there kind of that you're saying, it's not just for one thing, it's not just to cover tattoos, you can have the surgical scars, obviously it's suitable for people with psoriasis. So what other conditions would you say it's suitable for?
You've got, there's so many.
Rosacea, I imagine.
Rosacea as well, acne scarring, basically anything where there's a difference in the skin tone, whatever that's been caused by. If there's a difference in the natural skin tone, and then surgical scarring. So you could have plastic surgery, and that's fixing the sort of the skin and helping to minimize scarring and that kind of thing. But the surgery itself can cause some sort of hypopigmentation, so you're losing a little bit of pigment. And then the camouflage is like, it's been described as by some people the icing on the cake after surgery, which is such a lovely thing, because I like to sort of work in conjunction with the consultants and the plastic surgery, and that's where a lot of my referrals come from, is that you can just even out that skin tone that surgery can't. And yes, it does wash off, but on the other hand, it's an instant fix, and that's what I love, is that you're not waiting around, you just literally pop it on, and it'll last there waterproof 8 to 16 hours, which is amazing. So there's discoid lupus, which is a skin condition which is it's quite debilitating. There was a lady who came to me once, and she had been suffering from discoid lupus for the past 25 years and had never been able to find a cosmetic to cover. It's a red rash sort of. So she came to me, and I know it took an awful lot of bravery and courage to come and visit me. She said she never goes out in public. And so I'm very honoured that people will take that leap of faith and come to see me. And once the camouflage went on, her reaction when she looked in the mirror, it just lifted my heart. She was really just so pleased, and she was just so, I don't know, I think, without sounding overly dramatic, it does change people's lives, because she doesn't have to suffer every day with that redness. And these creams are they're sort of designed for skin conditions. They're very safe to use.
So Christine, just want to check with you, these products, they can be used on any part of the skin, because I know usually the skin on the face is a lot thinner, more delicate, so they're okay to be used on any part of the body.
Absolutely, you can use them on, all the brands I use are hypoallergenic, and they're highly tested, and they're all very good for any part of the skin. Once the skin is healed, you're absolutely good to go, and so face and body is absolutely fine.
And when I was doing my research ahead of this, I kept seeing that they referred to Skin Camouflage creams. So they're not actually a makeup, but I was so happy to see that on your website and on your social media that both men and women go to your services, and I was delighted to see that, because I find that sometimes if people have this perception it's a makeup, would you find that there's a little bit of a stigma around it for men?
There is, and I never refer to Skin Camouflage as makeup for that reason. These creams are highly pigmented and the coverage is a lot higher than makeup. You never want to isolate men because, you know, as I said earlier, this isn't about vanity. This is about just feeling, I don't know, just feeling good and feeling sort of, in inverted commas, normal.
Yeah.
I have had many male clients who I am so thrilled to see will take that, you know, they will have courage to come and see me and not be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And the idea with Skin Camouflage is that it doesn't look like makeup. You don't want to see it. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
So you could have, you know, scarring on the face. Say there's been a couple of gentlemen who've come to see me, and they might have been in a fight previously, and they just have like a little scar somewhere on their face. And the whole idea is that you're just removing that. Well, you're not removing the scar. You're camouflaging the scar. Let me be careful. And they've told me when they look in the mirror, then it's just like, I'm not reminded of that time in my life, you know, and you literally don't see it. That's how good the creams are. It's just, you're getting as close to the natural skin colour as possible. So that's the whole idea.
Yeah, and you touched on there a little bit about the Red Cross, and you were saying about they obviously offer the service, but you felt the need for there to be a private practice, which is what you offer. So why is it you felt that this private practice was missing?
Well, they're with Red Cross, you know, they are volunteers and they do an amazing job. So I was doing those clinics in the little pockets of time I had in my life, which wasn't an awful lot. And the patients who were coming to us would always say, you know, God, you know, why did I have to wait 6 to 8 weeks, which actually isn't that long for a voluntary service, but why couldn't I come to this? And why, you know, we would do it in a setting where you might have 2 clinics going side by side, so it wasn't fully private, although you would have, you know, there would be
partitions
and things like that, but it was fine. But the feedback I was getting was, wouldn't it be great if somebody did this on a private basis? And knowing that this does exist in the UK, let's say in private clinics and in the hospitals, it was a no-brainer for me. I just thought, yeah, there is a need for this, so I'm going to just open up my own business and do it, because again, like I said, it's something I love. So
and I do believe it is, like the whole skin camouflage, it is more popular over in the UK rather than here.
It is, as far as I know, it's been going from the 80s. The British Association of Skin Camouflage is where I went on to train, and I did a diploma in skin camouflage. So it was after that I opened my business. But there are private practices over in the UK, and the NHS actually provides skin camouflage products on prescription, which is amazing.
Okay.
And it shows you how highly they're thought of.
Yes.
Like if they are on prescription, this is a need, this is something that helps. And I believe it helps with, you know, there's so much talk about mental health these days. There is a definite connection between, you know, your mental health, how you look, and how you feel, and it all rolls in together. And this is why I love this service so much.
Yeah, I definitely think that with a chronic condition, people don't take into account that it takes a physical, mental, and obviously financial toll.
That's it. And I would love in the future if we could embrace it in Ireland in the hospitals. That would be something where you would, you know, say if you did have surgery or in the burns unit, there's just a little leaflet handed out. Do you know this exists? You go, because everyone who comes to me has never heard of it before. So it's really sort of trying to break down that sort of, well, I'm just trying to inform people that it exists in Ireland. And it's a very simple thing, and as I said, it's one appointment and you're pretty much good to go then. So yeah.
And you mentioned there about kind of the difference between, we'll say, the Red Cross, which does offer skin camouflage, and yourself. Now I know with the Red Cross you need a referral from your doctor.
Yes.
Does someone need to be referred to you, or is it because it's a private practice? Can someone just contact you and say, look, I want this done?
They can. So with the Red Cross we did need the letters from the doctor, and that was just standard. That was just the way it was set up. With me, I don't require a doctor's letter unless there is a condition where there's a question mark over it.
Okay.
So I would always be very careful. But in most cases, people who are coming to me have already been to see their doctor and have already gotten the go ahead. So I don't require that letter. There was a case with a lady who came to me and she had many moles on her skin, and of course I asked her, you know, have you gotten these seen? And she was in constant contact with her doctor, her dermatologist, because you would never want to cover up something that could be cancerous. And with moles especially, they have to be permanently checked. You don't just check them once. You look for changes all the time, and you would never be camouflaging something that could be dangerous, basically.
Okay.
And on another point, you can only camouflage something where the skin is healed. If the skin is open or it's infectious, obviously that's a contraindication. So you would never. So it's always on healed skin, and you're good to go then.
I did wonder about that because I saw it on your website about it has to be healed skin, like no open wounds and things. And I was kind of questioning in that with psoriasis, obviously people scratch it and like the skin can break itself and that. So do you know, so say if someone came into you and said, I don't know, their arms or their legs and there were a few open wounds, could you be like, well, I could do the ones around it?
Exactly.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to work on the open wounds, but I would still be able to do the skin matching service.
Yes.
And then I could show them how to apply it. There's a technique for each person and each skin condition is unique. So I could show them that, and then they could, figure it out themselves
for when it heals.
Yeah.
So talk us through your consultation process. So someone comes into you, sits down in front of you like this, where do we go from there?
So I basically ask people to give 2 hours for the consultation so that we're not in any hurry. The skin matching service is the first thing we start with, and that can take the longest time. Sometimes we get it straight off, and other times it can take, a long time. So it's fine. I work in very natural light to get the best results, because I feel like if you can get it right in natural light, it will look great anywhere.
Yes.
So that's the key. And I'm also whittling it down between different brands of skin camouflage because they all offer something different. Okay. There's different consistencies and each person's skin is different, so you're taking into account all of these things. It's then whittled down to the right skin colour, and then we compare the brands. And again, it's like consistency, how does it sit on that skin condition.
Yes, because you're obviously dealing with different textures for the different conditions.
Exactly, and the only way you're going to know is by literally placing it on the skin and kind of stepping back and having a look. And between myself and the client, it's a collaboration in what we both think.
Yeah.
And once that's sorted and we have our product, there's then a matching powder which helps set it and makes it waterproof. The second part of the consultation then is showing the client how to apply it themselves. There are different techniques, and there's no point in me applying it and then walking out the door. I ask them to then apply it themselves, and then I think they feel a lot more confident walking out the door rather than, oh, what did she do? Oh, I can't remember. I'm getting them to, it's a tutorial in how to apply the creams.
And that's why you were saying that really people just need to come to you that once.
Yeah.
That you match it up then so they know their shade, and then you teach them so they don't have to keep coming back to you. They can do it themselves from then on.
That's the whole thing. I try to wrap it all up so that, I'm very honoured in that a lot of my clients have come from all over Ireland to see me, so you don't want to be, if they can get it in one stop shop as such, that's great. I've had people from Limerick, from Donegal, and I'm so honoured that they get in their car, take that leap of faith, as I said, and they're coming to me. So I get everything sort of wrapped up in the one consultation. But then if they need advice, of course I'm on the phone all the time. And I also give them an aftercare card to remind them of the 100 things I told them in the consultation. So it's all there. But like anything, it's practice makes perfect. So I just say to them, if you're not confident, keep going, just keep practicing, and you'll absolutely get it. And they do.
And what would some of the correct techniques be? Because I know that even you hear people saying about when you're applying moisturisers, they're like, downward motion and things like that. So what are some of the proper techniques for applying the skin camouflage creams?
So it would depend on where you're applying the cream, and it would depend on how large the area is. For instance, if we were covering something on the legs, such as spider veins, I would use a light massage motion. So you would get the cream on both hands and you would be working very quickly up the legs so that it doesn't dry in, and you're trying to blend it. If it was, say, a mole, even just on the face or whatever, it's called a finger roll technique. So you're just applying the creams in this motion. You're not rubbing. So there's, the creams are so specialised. If you don't apply them properly, they won't adhere properly.
Yeah.
And so you want them to work as best as they can. And then you could use brushes, sponges. There's different, it really depends on the condition and how large the area is.
Okay, so we'll say it with the psoriasis. So there are different forms of psoriasis as well, but just say we're trying to cover the plaques, the type of scaly ones. Would it be more of like a patting motion? That's what I'm kind of picturing it would be, dabbing?
No, we try not to pat or dab. It's the finger roll motion, and it sounds very kind of, but it does work the best, and it's the proven way. So when I apply your skin camouflage later on, that's the technique I'll show you.
Yes.
And you're just rolling it on because it just sinks into the skin, it sinks into the crevices the best.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to do is just have the most flawless finish. And yeah.
I'm now dying to know about how these work and how I can actually use them myself. So if you wouldn't mind doing the skin matching process with me.
Sure. So we basically take a few different, I start with what I imagine is your skin tone, and that's our starting off point. We go either warmer or cooler from there. So it's just
here's
a
your
process of elimination. So I'm going to start with this one. Now I'm using one of the products. This is the more sort of liquefied skin camouflage. So as you can see, that's not quite the right colour. So we'll move on to something.
Yeah, a bit dark.
Yeah.
So when you were saying about they kind of be different, would you say some would be more moisturising than would others be? Okay.
So some are more sort of cakier or drier, and that's not a bad thing because some skin conditions require that.
Yes.
Whereas with psoriasis, you generally want to go with something that's moisturising and that goes over the skin quite easily.
Yes.
And that's why I'm going for a product that is exactly that. So
they feel so light. I can't even feel that they're on. When you were saying to me that it would offer more coverage than a makeup, I was picturing it'd be nearly like a paste.
No, these are so well formulated, and they're exactly for these types of skin conditions. So, but you don't want to feel them either. You want them to be as light as possible.
Very lightweight.
So as you can see, there's a difference there in the two, and I would definitely go with the second one. So that's it. We have your skin match. I'm not going to go with any other brands today because I actually feel like the consistency is correct, and so is the colour. So we're good to go.
So now you're going to be talking me through the correct techniques that we should do.
Exactly. So you just take your camouflage cream, apply it onto the back of your hand, and as I said earlier, there's different techniques. For your skin and your condition, I would go with the finger roll method. So you're just taking the camouflage on your finger. Your ring finger has the least amount of pressure, so you're just rolling it on, and there's this, so you're not rubbing, you're not exactly patting, you're just rolling it, sort of roll on, roll off sort of thing, and you want to basically blend as much as possible with as little pressure as possible, so just go back in and just get...
Now, I am wearing tan, but I would ordinarily be wearing tan. So when someone's coming to you, would you advise them that come into me the way that you normally would, whether it's with your makeup or your tan, whatever?
I mean, I can match you can match the creams to the person's natural skin tone, that's fine. But if someone does wear if they wear faux tan a lot, then it's personal choice. I can match it to their faux tan, or I can match it to their skin colour.
Yeah.
Their natural skin tone, it's up to them, whichever they're going to be showing more, basically.
Yes.
Or you can have both, you can match it to both, and you're going to be then purchasing two creams. Some clients as well need a winter colour and a summer colour. So earlier I said, you come to me once. Some people do come back and then they get a second shade for either winter or summer, whichever is the opposite to when they came the first time. So that's applied, and then I just take my thumb, which is clean, and I just feather out the edges to just get that seamless blend on the edges.
Would you ordinarily use any brushes or anything, or is it mainly just the fingertips?
If it's a very specific area, you might use a small pencil brush, and that can be easier for some people to use. For me, I like to show people how to use the finger roll method because you always have this tool. It's you don't need to wash. I mean, with brushes you need to keep them obviously cleansed and everything like that. With your finger, it's just easy, and it actually has the right amount of pressure. And your fingers are the best tools in makeup, I think. So for this particular situation, I think this is the best And there it is applied. Now the next part is where I show you how to apply the powder, and that will set it and make it waterproof. So I'm going to use the light, the light translucent powder. There's different shades in the powders as well. You can either warm up the colour or you can cool it down depending. So I'm just going to add something that isn't going to add much colour to it at all, because I think we have the right tone. So you just decant your powder into the lid, and you take your powder puff. Just tap off the excess, and you're just basically patting that on. Now the powders take a few minutes to sort of work, so you do want to just pack it on and then leave it for a few minutes.
I was going to ask that about how long after application is it considered kind of that it's not going to rub off on clothes, or that it's going to be set?
Yes, so generally 5 to 10 minutes is how long it takes to set. And so once you've waited the 5 or 10 minutes, you simply get your powder brush and you wipe off the excess. And that's it. Now you were saying about rubbing off on clothing. That's now waterproof, that's now set. If it is an area that is hitting off clothing or that's near to clothing, such as not on your face, there is a setting spray you can just pop over the top to help.
Okay.
It's another barrier to sort of stop it rubbing off. But that is waterproof now, and that is set.
So you use your powder puff first, and that's how you came along with the powder, and then you just wipe the excess off.
Exactly. So you're going on slightly heavy with the powder. You just sort of you're dabbing it on, very much like the finger roll method. You're just gently kind of pushing it onto the skin, and so it might look messy and it might look like there's too much. That's just the technique.
Yeah.
And then you wait for that to set, and you get your brush, your clean powder brush, which I would only use for skin camouflage. Try not to mix that with your bronzers or anything, because then you're mixing
makeup
up
ones. Yeah.
You're mixing pigment, and you're gonna affect the colour.
Yes.
So I would just get your clean powder brush and just brush away the excess very gently, and that's it. You're good to go.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to, like I said, if it's an area which is near clothing, you can just add on the setting spray, which I'm going to do now.
Perfect. And just with this, so I know that people can buy the products off you themselves, the creams. So is this any particular powder puff? Like, could people buy this, or can you use any one that you buy?
You can use any powder puff. With all the tools, they're very general. I mean, some people go off and buy them themselves, or they can buy them through me, but they're the same. You just want a decent quality of brush, and your powder puffs, it's good to buy a good quality tools. So this is the setting spray I was talking about. So you just give it a little spritz over the camouflage that's been set with the cream and the powder, and you just let that dry in. Don't touch it. I know it's wet, but don't touch it. And that's going to protect the camouflage from clothing, and you're going to have lasting coverage all day.
Okay, and so how long should this ideally last for when applied correctly?
So that should last between 8 and 16 hours waterproof. You could shower, you could swim, and as long as you're not rubbing the area with a towel, it will stay intact and it'll stay on camouflage for you.
I imagine this would be very ideal for people that say they're going away for a weekend, or maybe they've got an event like a wedding or something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's for whenever and however much you want to use the creams. It could be daily, it could be just in the summertime, say if it's someone's legs. It's completely unique and personalised, and the creams do go an awful long way. You only need a small amount. As you can see, I had to get rid of some of the stuff that I decanted because it was too much. So that's it.
And it was the tubes that you found worked well here for me for my kind of skin texture and tone. But I see you have more that are like kind of paste here as well. So when would you use them?
So these are the Cryolan skin camouflage. So these have a higher, there's sort of more coverage in them. So the likes of tattoos, these might work better.
Okay.
No, it's not a hard and fast rule. I try on every brand with every client because you just never know how they're going to sit. But generally speaking, if it's something that has a lot of pigment coming through, whereas with yours it wasn't, it was quite easy to camouflage. So the creamier ones for your skin type and for the condition, I just felt that was the good one to go with. But in fact, all of these would cover your condition quite well. So,
Christine, thank you so much for talking to me today about yet another service that is available to people with psoriasis to help them. So if someone does want to know a little bit more about your service and what you offer, where can they find out more information?
They can go to my website, which is www.skincamouflagecare.ie. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, so they can check out all of those handles as well.
And you do have some really good before and after photos on all your socials as well, so people can really see the effects.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to demonstrate how well Skin Camouflage can work. So the before and afters are all over the social media, especially on the Instagram. So if people are wondering what Skin Camouflage is, how does it work, you can check it out there.
Yeah, thank you so much again. I feel like I found out so much more about it, so I hope that everyone listening found out a lot more about it. And if you do want to know more information, Christine's handles are on screen now. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Listen out for more Itching to Tell You Investigates.
For more information on this topic, check out Itching to Tell You on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.